as having taken the president on right there in the meeting, reprimanding him, and I give him credit for that, saying that America is supposed to be a place of ideas, and of course, Senator Durbin said he said it. But what is more striking to me, and what he said I consider, and I've been saying racist and abominable, but is the policy coming out of that. That he's no longer a 70-year-old man sitting on Fifth Avenue just sprouting words. He is affecting policy, Yamiche, and this could mean we're moving toward a race-based immigration policy in this country.
His ideas are affecting policy, and there's this idea that if President Trump is there saying that Norway their immigrants are essentially better than Haitians and Africans because they are somehow essentially white and the Haitians are black, then that's obviously problematic. And I've been talking to sources since this news broke out. Obviously, the Haitian government summoned U.S. officials to come explain themselves. So there's the actual international relations where we have countries essentially saying, what did you actually mean? And then I just yesterday released a letter written by Haitian diplomats who are saying that this is essentially creating heartbreak and despair across the world. So there's this idea that people are not just talking about the fact that they didn't like these comments, that this is actually now affecting how we deal with other countries, including the people that are working in the United States. This is a group of Haitian American people who are out there in our policies, in our bases, talking to people on behalf of American interests.
You know, there obviously even the African Union has come out. Tomorrow I'm flying back from Washington to do our Harlem Martin Luther King Day, and then we're going down joining other activists 4 o'clock in Times Square for a big protest. People outraged by it. But one of the things that people need to understand, and we're going to raise this at Times Square, is that the facts don't speak that way. Look at this, Yamiche. When you look at Norway and the trade we do with Norway, and the trade is we do last recordings that we have of data rather that we have is we did $10 billion in trade in 2013 in goods with Norway. But look at what we do with sub-Saharan Africa. We do $37 billion in goods with sub-Saharan Africa in 2015. So this whole thing of acting like that African nations and Haiti and El Salvador are S-hole nations, we actually do more trade with Africa and others than we do with Norway. So only their whiteness would make you say, why don't we bring in more people from Norway?
That's essentially what a lot of people feel. And I should tell you, this is somewhat personal for me and other Haitians out there. My dad still lives in Haiti, runs a large nonprofit there. My parents immigrated from Haiti, both got PhDs in this country. I'm now sitting as a reporter, talking to people all the time, giving people information. So there's this idea that Haitians have really, really contributed. The Haitian ambassador reminded me that there's literally a monument in Savannah, Georgia, dedicated to Haitian free black soldiers that came to help the United States fight in the Revolutionary War. So Haitians from the very beginning of this nation have been pouring in and really contributing to American society.
Well, Dusaba was Haitian who founded Chicago. But let me go to Ali. Ali, there's another issue here that I think we're not talking as much about, and that is as we fight the war on terrorism, and we need to fight it in Africa, where ISIS and we have, of course, Al-Qaeda and Boko Haram was friendly there. How do we now tell Africans to be cooperative with American intelligence when we've told them we look at them as whole countries? When we have military bases all over Africa, Somalia, Niger. I mean, how do we say this without neutralizing or canceling our impact, and at the same time open the door for China and the Soviet Union and others to even become more entrenched in Africa?
Well, this is another example of actually how Trump's domestic controversies really do spill out then into the international community. He's really been someone who has talked about the bottom line for this country in terms of the economy, but then also he's really targeted the fight against ISIS and has made gains in that fight. And I do think that there are questions like you're raising about how these comments impact those international relationships. But then I also think you made an important point about the policy debate here. DACA is something that Democrats obviously want to get something done on,
Right.
and that the president himself has said he wants to get something done on. Don't forget, we started this entire news cycle this week with him saying that he wants to deal with it with love. And he's talked about dealing with immigrants with love before, even when his administration canceled the DACA program and said Congress needs to finally do something about it. So he says that he wants to get a deal. And then this morning he's coming out and tweeting, well, it's probably dead, and it's dead because of Democrats. And he's blaming Democrats for the fact that his comments that he made in this closed door meeting have leaked out. And as much as these comments were stunning, they weren't necessarily surprising, because you and I both watched how he ran this campaign, and he really did run in a way that was looking to really optimize the othering factor and play into this idea that exists in some parts of white America against Black and brown people. And I think that his immigration policy and the way he talked about immigration in such a hardline way was central to his campaign. And it's been central to the way that he's been a leader. So it's hard then when he says we should deal with this with love, and then you hear him talking about countries in this way. It's hard to square that circle then from a policy sense, because he's kind of all over
He's
on
got done. He says DACA's dead, and clearly, we were not shocked when we heard it. Those of us that have dealt with him and fought with him in New York for years, he's always been more profane than profound. Thank you, Yamiche and Ali. Up next, my interview with Congressman John Lewis on the eve of Dr. King's birthday and the 50th anniversary of his death. But first, in the same week that our president is alleged to have referred to African nations as well, we learned that Marvel Studios' upcoming film phenomenon, Black Panther, set mostly in, listen carefully, technologically advanced African country, has set a new record for ticket pre-sales, quickly becoming the most anticipated film of the new year. Somehow I don't think President Trump will be at the premiere because his head might explode. But we'll be in the house, and we'll be right back.